Welcome to the Passenger Seat Parlay. I have my very good friend, Mike, host of a new up-and-coming podcast called The Racket. You like the hand motion? Yes. I
Yeah.
was copying your picture. But yes, I can't wait to get into the tea. You actually kind of touched up on zoning. And as a industry insight, we will be discussing your position as a general contracting firm construction estimator, which is very interesting. I actually just had, I'm not sure if you caught that episode, Blue Collar Warfare, with my friend Sean.
No, I didn't, but I definitely will take a look at it.
Definitely should. You guys would actually be really good friends. When I was watching the debate, I was texting both of you guys like, are you guys watching this bullshit? Yeah, I low-key wanted to make a group chat, but you guys didn't meet yet. But go definitely check out that episode if you guys haven't heard Blue Collar Warfare. But yeah, he's a project manager and you guys are kind of close in the niche, but you do a little bit different. Can you kind of tell the people what you do as a, construction estimator?
So it depends on the company that you work for, right? So I used to be a project manager and estimator,
Ooh,
and
okay.
as an electrical contractor, a lot of construction companies you have to do that. I mean,
Yeah.
paying salaries, you have to estimate and run the job, and that's very stressful. I mean, to stay on top of a job, every aspect of it, every penny of it, making sure that we come in where it was estimated.
Yeah.
And then having to estimate. When you estimate, you're not estimating to work tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
You're estimating for 6 months from now. Between permitting, when the job starts, you get through all of this red tape. The job's not starting right away.
Right.
You have land development, you have EPA, deal with the EPA regulations. Those are major roadblocks, which, by the way,
what are EPA regulations?
Well, for example, I couldn't start a job because there is a division, right, that goes out to the property to make sure that in my area of where I live, that there's no bog turtles.
Bog turtles? What are bog turtles?
Bog turtles is an endangered species that you cannot disturb their habitat. If there is, then guess what? Your job's dead. So there's all types of things that you have to know in this world.
America cares more about animals than people, but go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I'll agree with that, but at the same time, we gotta. I agree with the regulations for the whole reason the EPA was started, is because corporations, at the time, 50, 60 years ago, they would just dump their waste into the river. I believe, was it the Chicago River had been orange at one point.
What? Oh my God, I believe it for sure.
But anyway, we're getting off. I'm going on a tangent.
We love tangents here.
Yeah, and you can go on a lot. So what I do is from start to finish with a project, I do either we kind of work in a bunch of different sectors where I'm at. So I left being an electrical contractor to step up and not be a sub or a subcontractor to a general contractor. Just what I wanted to do. So instead of just dealing with electrical, I deal with everything.
Got it.
Everything from the site work to building the building, the permitting, the process, start to finish.
Gotcha.
I deal with the private sector, but I also deal with the public sector. So either, a private person trying to build a business or a building will come to me, or like I just finished what did we just finish? A 13,000 square foot veterinary office.
Ooh, okay.
And it's small animal and large animal. So they do everything from parakeets to horses.
Oh, wow.
So that was a very successful project for us. And funny enough, it was an old building that sat for 30 years, and it used to be a manufacturing building for lederhosen.
Oh, wow. Who's lederhosen? Not familiar.
It's kind of like German underwear.
Oh,
like long johns.
Random long johns. I love it. Oh my goodness. Thank you for that, T. So essentially, you guys pretty much you come up with that estimate before you can start building. Do you guys have to stay within certain budgets? How does that work?
Well, it depends if it's public or private. So customers will come to me. they'll try and buy a property
Mm-hmm.
and what we call a fit out, take the original building
Yeah.
and knock down the interior walls, make new spaces, or do whatever. Um, from start to finish, I have to ask them, like, what's your budget?
Got it.
I mean, I see pricing so much um, that I'm very good at just walking into a building, looking at it and say, it's $3 million.
I
You know,
believe it.
how much is it gonna
I
cost? I can
believe
get
it. Y'all, every
within that.
time Mike has come to my house, he has read my building for filth. He's like, this building was built in 1900 and what did you say about my boiler? Something about my boiler. Oh, by the way, the water in my bathroom totally exploded. And I was like, yo, Mike told me this shit. Literally, like 4 months. Like, I'm like,
They
Mike mentioned something about this boiler and it did what it did. I was like, okay. So I'm
You have
like,
a
he knows his
very
stuff.
old system as many parts of New York do,
Yeah, gotta love
with a rain
Brooklyn.
catch system that goes to a boiler that's probably, if I had to guess, 70, 60, 70 years old at the very least.
Oh, I believe that
Um,
for
which
sure.
is an infrastructure problem, which we have across the country. And
Gotcha.
but anyway, from start to finish, whether it's public, private, um, sometimes I draw draw the plans for them. I get
Okay.
the original plans from the city. I have software to where they give me a vision.
Yeah.
I'll start drawing it up, and that's what I did with the vet office. I built
Gotcha.
that from start to finish in
Look
my
at
head.
you.
Like,
Multifaceted. Speaking about
um,
infrastructure, I have a question for you since we're both from South Florida. Now,
yeah.
there's been a huge influx of New Yorkers coming down south to South Florida. They're building up Miami. They're calling Miami Little New York now. What do you think the long term effects are going to be with the high rises that they're building in Miami?
Um, well, I actually said this like a more than a decade ago. So, and it's not just Florida, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm seeing it here where I'm at in Eastern Pennsylvania.
Got it.
Everybody from New Jersey, everybody from New York,
Yep.
everybody from even Boston and Connecticut.
Yeah, everybody's
Um,
building.
this is the general evolution of our society. When I lived in Lake Worth, Florida, I lived on Lantana and 441,
Nice.
underneath the turnpike near a strawberry farm.
Oh, I know
Uh,
exactly where you lived.
Smith Farms near
Smith
there.
Farms. You
Um,
didn't know anybody named Richie, did you? I swear I asked you this before. That was my
I
older
knew a lot
brother's
of
best
Richies.
friend. He had
What's the
freckles, red
last
hair.
name?
I don't remember. Damn. We had the same exact conversation, but go ahead. ADHD.
Oh, so anyway, when I
Mm-hmm.
first moved there, it was probably in 1995.
Got it.
I was 9 years old.
Oh.
It was a 2-lane road, and then
Mm-hmm.
when you hit 441, it was
Dirt.
Everglades. I used to be
Yeah.
four-wheeling out in the Everglades, running from police, doing all types of bad stuff.
Running from police. That's that crazy white boy shit we're gonna get into later. Go
Well,
ahead.
you're not supposed to be out there four-wheeling on private property in the Everglades. So,
Yeah.
anywho,
You ever seen any
if you go
bodies
look,
dumped?
anywho,
Bodies in the Everglades.
I mean, you'd become a body. There's plenty of animals out there that'll kill you.
There you go.
Um,
Politically correct answer.
but no, I didn't. I didn't see any bodies out there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but anyway, that's a natural evolution. If you go out there now, Lantana Road is what, 4 to 6 lanes.
Yep.
All of out west is built up all the way out
Yep.
far west into the Everglades.
Yeah.
So what happens? What happens
Crazy.
to cities? Cities build up just like New York. What happened in New York City? New York City is completely built up.
Mm-hmm.
When that happens, it becomes too saturated, too expensive.
Hmm.
So people
So
move to the next up and coming place, which was South Florida for the last decade. And the suburbs move out, and they can only move out to a certain point to where is the next new thing.
Yeah.
People from California were moving out of California. Now everybody's going to Texas and Florida.
Yep.
The next up and coming spaces right now is where my brother is in Tennessee and North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the natural evolution of our society. When a city becomes too built up, another region, it becomes the it place to be.
Interesting. Now, in my perspective, like you mentioned, New York, they're always building here, right? We have high rises all the time. But see, granted, in New York, there's always people moving to New York. But when I go back home, I'm still in that mindset that, home is home and not a lot of people come. But I feel like there's a lot of new buildings here, but are just vacant because either people can't afford or they're just not moving in yet. And I see that like almost everywhere I go, even visiting New Orleans, how they're gentrifying and they're turning the hoods and building high rises, but yet these buildings are sitting
Hmm.
empty. So I'm like, what is the purpose of planning and zoning if we're not planning and zoning for, are they doing that for like a certain demographic of people, income class? So what's going to go on with these families who've lived
Everything's
here for
geared.
decades?
I don't think it's necessarily. I think that's also part of the evolution of our society, which
Right.
since Ronald Reagan, we've
Mm-hmm.
switched to trickle down economics,
Mm-hmm.
a top down system, right?
Yeah.
Everything is geared towards business.
Yep.
Everything. It's
Cash is
give the
king.
money to the richest, most powerful corporations in the world.
Yeah.
They will expand, they will make growth,
Mm-hmm.
and everything will trickle down. Well, that hasn't happened. What have we seen in the last 50 years? We've seen a massive wealth transfer from the middle class and the lower class
Yep.
to a very small minority.
Yeah.
And I think it's to the tune, well, I haven't looked at it recently, but about 4 years ago, it was a transfer of $50 trillion of wealth from regular everyday people like us
Uh-huh.
to the very wealthy.
Interesting.
And they're hoarding all of this money. It's not trickling down whatsoever. You have gentrification, they have
Right.
zoning changes for big business to come in, create more businesses, more high rises, more. South Florida has tons of condos
Mm-hmm.
and high rises that are just sitting empty
Empty.
because this perpetual growth is not sustainable.
Right.
Perpetual growth leads to this inflation,
Yeah.
which makes and prices the majority of the population out of the market.
That's true.
And you have, I'll put it this way: the math is not mathing.
The math is
My
definitely not
job,
mathing. Yeah.
my job is math, and 99.9% of all businesses in America
Yeah.
are small business.
Right.
But that 99.9% of business is only generating 43.5% of the
Mm-hmm.
GDP,
Oh, what is GDP for the people who don't know?
gross domestic product,
Got it.
the United States GDP. So you got 99.9% of the country being small businesses, but we're only generating less
Crazy.
than half of the revenue.
It's crazy. Then I'm like,
It's
where
just
is the rest of the revenue coming from?
different sectors, but all basically, what do you see? You got the farming industry, you have the insurance industry. It's basically all big business.
Yeah. Got it. Now
So
I
we,
have a little mini. We do pit stop questions usually at the end, but since we're on topic, I want to ask you, where do you think America went wrong as far as today's economic status? Like, where do you think we
um,
really tipped the scales?
I will, I would say it was Reaganomics,
Reaganomics.
Ronald Reagan.
Wow.
Actually, one of the architects of that was, the main architects of of Reaganomics was actually John Bolton, who was
Mm-hmm.
in um, President Trump's administration.
Really? Now, can you break down
Uh,
Reaganomics for the people who don't know what that is?
Reaganomics basically is what I said earlier, is that if you cater to big business, meaning
Mm-hmm.
giving them tax breaks, you give them the money, they'll expand, they will create jobs, they will create prosperity and wealth for all, and it'll trickle down. You give all the money at the top, it will trickle down to everybody below.
Mm.
That's not happened.
They stopped
So,
trickling down, baby. They was holding their pockets full.
well, exactly. And John Bolton and the Bushes,
Mm-hmm.
H.W. Bush and George W. Bush, Dick Cheney, those type people, um, had made it. This was the downfall of the country. They made it to where money equals speech.
Yeah.
So if I give Val $1 million
Thank you.
and you're in charge of
Mm-hmm.
legislation, you're a congressperson,
Got it.
and in order for you to stay in power, you need money and to get reelected.
Yep.
If I give you like I said, $1 million and you get reelected, do you think I just gave you that $1 million because I like you?
Sure, why not?
You think that how that
That's
works?
not how
Listen,
that
I'll
works.
give you.
Nothing's free in America.
You're a friend. I'll give you $100 if you need it, but I don't care who you are. If I'm giving you $1,000,000, it ain't because I like you. It's because I want something.
You need something.
So
Exactly.
what is that called?
Bribery?
Bribery. It's legal bribery. So they made the argument that we used to have to where corporations aren't allowed to do that. That's bribery.
Mm-hmm.
They argued that money is speech, that you're limiting freedom of speech by not allowing to donate money to elected officials,
Huh.
that a corporate entity is a person with rights. They changed that. That
Wow.
was the turning
Clearly.
point. That
Because,
was the turning point of this country because a lot of
yeah.
people don't know this, but there was a point in time, I believe, in the 50s, the tax rates have always changed.
Right.
There was a point in time where the tax rates for corporations were 50%.
Mm.
There was also a time where at one point the marginal was 70%.
Wow.
Now, that might sound crazy to you, but I agree with it. I'm going to tell you why.
Please do.
That was a mechanism that was put in place so we wouldn't be where we are today. Where we are today is we have a democracy, but we really have a corporate kleptocracy is what it is. And
I believe that.
over a certain dollar amount, I don't quote me right off the top of my head, but let's just say 10 million, right?
Mm-hmm.
Over 10 million, we're going to tax you 50%. But up to that 10 million in profit, we're just going to tax you at the normal rate, which at the time, I think right now we're, I think, total 24%.
Mm-hmm.
So the reason that was done is so you don't have an oligarchy.
What's
You
that?
don't have an oligarchy is basically they're kings.
Got it.
It's we don't have a democracy because
have
the
a dictator?
corporations are literally paying off everybody in Congress to do what they want.
That's what I'm saying. And we're going to touch
That's
on
what's
this
happening.
presidential debate because everyone's mad about the wrong things when these people are not even controlling this country. And we're going to get into that.
To finish what I was saying is the reason why over a certain cap that they would do that 50, 60, 70% is so an entity can't get so big, it would be the government. So, and just think of that. Just think of these large corporations making hundreds of billions of dollars.
Yeah.
And you're taxing them at 7%, and then you're re-injecting it into society. That's how it was prosperous.
Like the
now
12
it's
wealthy
not.
families. Yeah.
It's being hoarded by these entities.
Yeah.
Who, by the way, are multi international corporations who are not, they're American citizens, but
yeah,
they're not. The minute that they're in trouble, all of a sudden, no, they're in Turks and Caicos. I ain't
Oh,
American.
yeah. Shit. Diddy thought he could be off the case. Listen, we're going to talk about it. Yeah, no, these people with power, like our regular day issues are not their issues. They don't even like, it's a whole nother level.
It's anti-capitalist. It's not, you don't have, listen, I engage in our capitalist society every day. I bid jobs. Public work is best number wins.
Yeah.
So that is competition. There is no competition with some of these, especially within government contracts. So it's not capitalism. It's literally socialism for the corporations. And the minute that everything falls, this is even the better point. We do have socialism, and it works because it works for the top corporations in America. Because what happens if they fail? They're too big to fail. The banks are too big to fail. Some of these huge corporations, they all get bailed out. So what do? They privatize the profits and they socialize the losses.
So much corruption and greed here, because politics are really not my thing, but I am into conspiracy theories, right? And I have a conspiracy theory that you kind of touched on in that last statement.
And what's that?
So I really and truly believe that our our government system isn't what we really think it is, obviously. Yeah, we have the president, we have the judicial branch, legislation, all that jazz. Who am I forgetting? Judicial, legislative, and Congress? Yeah, the three.
No, you have the judicial, legislative, and executive.
Executive. That's what it was. All of them. We have these
Yeah,
people in
which that
place. People are arguing over Kamala or Donald Trump. At the end of the day, these corporations, these 12 richest families of the United States of America are really what's running shit. You know what I'm saying? That's my conspiracy
uh,
theory.
it's not a conspiracy theory. You actually can go ahead and see it. I post it all the time on my Twitter. If you want to go look at it, you can go to opensecrets.com. You can see every congressman from every side who's giving them money.
I'm going to drop the link right over here. Shout out to the Rocket. And while we're talking about your platform, Mike is coming out with his podcast called The Racket. Could you let the people know what you're going to talk about? What's the theme? A little taste of the je ne sais quoi?
So it's exactly what it sounds like. Life is a racket, man. I mean, the last decade, it's been a racket. It's
Just a lot of noise.
we live like in the Truman Show. I mean, basically, I've been paying attention to politics for 20 years. Since I'd have to say, shoot, it's more than 20 years now. Probably since I was 15 or 16.
Got it.
My job, for what I do, I usually 10 hours a day, multiple screens, computers, working, whatever. I always have an earpiece in. I listen and have listened to the last 20 years to every side of media. Doesn't
Mm-hmm.
matter if it's Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, mainstream media, because you can't have a conversation and you can't have an argument unless you know what's being said on all sides.
That's true.
You can't sit in your echo chamber and just always, take whatever favorite news network you
Yep.
have and just run with it. That's just
Absolutely.
an echo
Agree.
chamber.
100%.
You have to media literacy in this country is awful. It's awful.
Yeah.
And the worst perpetrator of it, Fox News, is the worst network
Yes, they are.
of all of them. It is
Lord.
nothing. The thing is, it's full of pundits.
And
It's
gaslighting.
full of pundits not giving you the news. When we were younger, it was not nearly
No.
this bad when I was a kid.
I used to
They
love
used to come
Fox
on
News.
they used to come on and give you the news.
The news,
This
yeah.
is what happened, blah, blah, blah. No conjecture, no
Yeah.
opinion,
Yeah.
no. And you remember at the end of the newscast at night, they would, close with something heartwarming like elementary
Yeah.
school kids going to the zoo or,
Yeah. Something
something like
local.
that. It is all turned into pundits. And
Yeah.
what are pundits? Pundits are usually very well paid by some industry. I mean, you have pundits on Fox News that are paid by the military industrial complex. You have pundits on there
NRA.
that are paid by big pharma, that are always going to take the side and make ridiculous arguments.
Yeah. Where do you
Just
think media
defending
took
it
that
till they
turn,
die.
though? From, wholesome but still informative to this new version of
It got
media?
really bad after Citizens United. Congress, both sides, basically solidified and confirmed that money equals speech and legalized corruption. And here's the problem.
Can't
And
people
this is
still
the
go to
bigger
jail for that?
No, because it's legal.
Okay.
Now this is the thing. It's legal up to a certain dollar amount, but
I was about to say.
what they're doing to skirt that is you have hundreds, if not thousands, of small shell corporations, little LLCs, which you could start your own LLC and get a business license for 200. Well, it used to be $250. I don't know what it
It's
is
around
now.
the same price ish.
Not very much. And if you look at these little shell corporations, they have no revenue. They've made no revenue for the whole year, or they've, passed through. You don't know where it's going or what it is. And they'll make 1,000 of them and just pass it through, $1,000 times 2,000. That's how you're putting more money to a candidate. Or you put them to super PACs. So instead of because you can't go over a certain amount, sometimes what is it, $3,500 or whatever to,
Yeah.
one contribution from somebody. You go to super PACs and you can give them $100 million, and the super PAC's going to disperse it to all different elections, whether it be Republican down the ticket, Democrat down the ticket. We don't have free and fair elections anymore.
We
That is a
don't.
myth.
What did you think about the recent debate between Donald Trump and Kamala? I know we were texting, but officially, what did you think?
We watched someone's brain melt out of their ears.
Oh, for sure. Like she shook his
No.
ass up.
So listen, I'm going to say this right now, Val. I don't know how you feel about it, but I'm a very lefty person.
Okay.
My lefty friends don't like what I have to say, and my righty friends don't like what I have to say.
You're free to say whatever you want on the parlay. I'm an in-between.
So here's the thing. Kamala Harris, I have issues with. A lot of issues with.
Fair.
But I have much more issues with Donald Trump. He is, if you're a New Yorker, he's the human embodiment of the guy selling you a CD. He's giving you $20. He's taking $5 back. All of a sudden, you don't know you spent $30 and you got a CD that is blank, nothing on
it. Perfect explanation. Yo.
You know what I'm talking about.
I
you
know.
Take your friend to Manhattan.
Mm-hmm.
I took my friend from Virginia. Ain't never been out of the state to Manhattan. I said, stay next to me. Don't talk to nobody.
Right. Don't engage.
I went and I had some halal, and I turned around for a second, and he's over there talking to some motherfucker, and then looking up, and he's pointing, and he comes back, he walks over to me, and goes, I don't know what happened. I have a CD and I spent $50. And I'm like, oh, God.
Hell yeah. That's anybody on Canal Street.
Yeah. And that's your Trump supporter.
Yeah. I'm going to keep it G1 with you guys. I'm definitely an independent person now. I was actually prepared to vote for Trump. Pause for shock liberty. A lot of people are like, because just to stream kind of from the beginning what you're saying, I feel like a lot of people of color, especially Black women, we're told Democratic Party is for us, right? But like you said, once you start looking and listening to everybody, you can't just listen to one party side. It's like when you're hearing some type of novela, some type of tea, and you're hearing it from one person all the time. You got to hear the other story. You got to see the other side. You got to step back and kind of see where everyone's talking about. And then when it comes to politics, you need to think what works for you and what you're trying to do. Like if going down the list of what they're trying to do, it's like, okay, economically, I felt like I would be better underneath Trump's quote unquote things. But even like you said, he was problematic. He ain't even got a plan. He has a concept of a plan. Like, baby, I need you to have a letter point, a bullet point, something. But then he disrespected my people. He's very problematic. And then it's like he went around and started spreading this whole Haitians eating cats. I was like, all right, now I got to go vote for the bitch. Because one thing I will not do is stand for some fake rhetoric against my culture. And it just kind of reminded me, it's like, when you just kind of try to forget that little dash of racism that Donald Trump has.
Oh, he's definitely racist.
Yeah. Oh, racist with a capital R. And I feel like Democrats are racist too, because they don't like Black people either. Come on now. Both these parties. Like
they just want your vote.
They just want my vote. They don't care. Like, oh, get the blacks, get the niggers. All right, check. Got them done. Let's get the gays. All right, check. But it's like people need to stop.
Checking off a lot of boxes.
Okay? People need to stop treating us like monoliths. And honestly, just because you fit us, if you are a gay queer person, that doesn't necessarily mean you need to or a gay queer person of color. That doesn't mean you need to go ahead and automatically align yourself with the Democratic Party if you don't feel even if you don't feel that they benefit you. And it's okay not to tell people who the fuck you're voting for, because at the end of the day, you'll see people be quiet or talk about, yeah, I'm pro Kamala or pro Trump. And as soon as they get in that little 2x2 booth, they check who they really want to check. Or they don't even go at all, but they're just talking shit on the internet. You know what I'm saying? And the only thing that concerns me about the MAGA is how people are just so ignorant in believing in everything he says, and they just run with it. But I'm like, he's wrong.
Well, that's because the media literacy is just, there's none.
I mean, I think in general, people's literacy
there's none.
Don't have
people
it.
see whatever they just cater to whatever is their favorite news network
Yeah.
name,
People
whatever it
go,
is,
yeah,
any alphabet news network,
yeah.
and
Go into the
they take
comments
it
for
they take it as gospel.
confirmation.
Well, it's confirmation bias.
Yeah.
But going back to the debate,
Yeah.
Kamala Harris, like I said, I have a lot of problems with her,
Let's
but she's
do
not a
tell.
stupid woman.
Yeah.
She's not a stupid woman.
Not at all.
And I got Trump supporters in my family, and I had a conversation with her the other time. I was like, listen, before the debate, I said this. I said, he's going to get his ass handed to him.
Yeah. She's
People love the
prosecutor.
bombacity. He's bombastic. He's, but guess what? Here's the problem. When he had that debate against Biden,
Mm-hmm.
I did not let up. Facebook, everything. I was like, the president's got mashed potatoes brains.
Boy, the fact that Biden couldn't get the out of his
he's like
I was just like, oh
no. He's stuck. He's stuck.
I never seen someone get canceled so quick than our president, Joe Biden. They canceled him that night. Kamala was on the stage 2 weeks later.
But you and me and normal people who are honest, you're just honest. You're gonna say, yeah, his brain's broken.
Yeah. No, I think that was very clear. Like something was off.
You're gonna say his brain is broken.
That's a lot of stress being the president.
Cooked.
Yeah. Obama came in with black hair, left with silver. That's a stressful job.
Yeah, it's a stressful job. But the guy's the oldest president there ever has been.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be president in your 80s.
Yeah.
But here's the thing that we saw, and that was on full display.
Mm-hmm.
The tides have turned. Now Trump's the old one.
That is true.
He is the one that looks feeble, not cognitively there.
And not educated.
When you're dealing with Kamala Harris, I try to tell my aunt, I had a conversation with her about this. I'm like, she's not a stupid woman. She's a prosecutor. What do prosecutors do? She's not charismatic and bombastic like him, but you know what she does? She builds a case.
Yep.
And she built the case and knew that he's narcissistic, self-centered, and going to bait him. The baiting was so obvious.
Very much so.
Every time, what she did and what she wanted to do was to show the American people that this guy is senile, narcissistic, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to bait him and make him look a fool. So that's going to be a representation that world leaders are going to walk all over this guy. Yeah,
Republicans took an L that night. And then I saw a lot of people saying, well, the mediators were biased and blah, blah, blah. What did you think? Did you think they were biased?
Okay. Here's the thing. Depending on what news network you go to, yeah.
I think it was ABC.
Here's the thing about the thing about bias. There's always bias. Everybody has a way of thinking, and the questions you're going to answer, there is always a bias.
Yep.
If you say there's not, you're just a liar.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I have more respect for a candidate that is going to go up there against, let's say, if there is a bias. I don't think there was.
I don't think
but
so either.
Let's say that there is. That is going to go up there and is going to spit some facts and is going to tell me what their policies are and are going to walk all over those people, even if they do have bias.
Exactly.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
And what they're trying to do is, he was so bad.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy, this was the most watched presidential debate in the history of American politics.
Yeah.
And the president lost his mind saying that the most racist thing you could imagine, that legal immigrants are eating our pets.
Eating the cats, and they're eating the cats. They're eating the dogs. First of all, baby, let me tell you something, Donald Trump and all you MAGA followers. By a certified Haitian, first generation Haitian American, though a Haitian will never eat your cat. If you fuck around and walk on George and you figure out who George is, you will be turned into a cat. If you know, you know, and I'm going to cut it off right there, okay? I'm going to cut it off. You know, because you from South Florida. Haitians, we don't eat cats. How disrespectful. You know how many steps there are in place before we even cook the meat? We need to wash the meat 3 times with vinegar, lime, marinate. Come on, cut the fat. I skipped a step. That's supposed to be first. But like the disrespect. But like, again, like you said, she baited him and she tripped him up. However, I would love to see Kamala at another debate by Fox News mediating. Because there were some questions she asked, and she kind of tiptoed her ass around the questions, politically correct. I was like, all right, Kamala, I see what you're doing, but you ain't off the hook, sis. I need some answers. You know what I'm saying? I would love to see
The
her
thing,
go toe to toe with some Fox mediators. Because, they had to spin the
yeah.
block after that thing.
Well,
Like, oh, it's fake, blah, blah,
she
blah.
dodged the questions like a politician. She did that expertly.
Because that's
Dodged
what
the
they
question.
do.
It's an answer, non-answer is what
Yeah,
it is.
exactly.
And the biggest thing I had a problem with, and I'm gonna full-throatedly say it, if anybody looks at my Twitter, and
Yeah.
it's a big deal for me.
Mm-hmm.
I've read over 30 books on the situation, the history, scholars, you name it,
Yeah.
of Israel and Palestine.
Mm.
That was it's we have to be able to have a conversation that's honest and admit things.
Yeah.
And if I was the mediator or, the person asking the questions at the debate, it would have been to both of them.
Yeah.
You know, Kamala, you're currently the vice president. Israel's currently committing war crimes, terrorism, and genocide. We are supporting them.
Yeah.
And you're the vice president.
Right.
What are we doing about it?
Yeah.
Are you going to change that stance? Because the media spin on this, and it's from CNN, MSNBC, you name it, is disgusting. It is
Yeah.
disgusting. This is a very sensitive subject.
Mm-hmm.
We have been basically told our whole lives, one of my favorite subjects in school was the Holocaust.
Yeah.
I remember being in 7th grade. You learned about it 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, 9th grade, every year.
Yep.
Reading Anne
Never
Frank,
forget.
everything. I remember sitting after reading Anne Frank as a kid
Mm-hmm.
and saying, how did this happen?
Yeah.
How did the world sit by and watch this?
Yeah.
How, this is it's insane. It's this can never happen today.
Yeah. And they got rid of Anne Frank in the Florida school system. They can't read that book anymore. Crazy.
Yeah, which is crazy. And
Mm-hmm.
it's happening now. And we're funding it. We
Yeah.
are carpet
We're
we
paying
are
for it.
carpet bombing. I'll put it this way. Gaza is 141 square miles.
Yeah.
It's average 7 miles wide. It's very skinny. It's about the size in square miles of Atlanta.
Really? That's
Yes.
how big. Wow. Okay.
So we've dropped, we've given Israel dumb bombs. You know what a dumb bomb is? A dumb bomb is a bomb that is not directional. You just drop it. It just,
Oh,
whatever
like
you
back
drop
in
it,
like World War I era, or the big circle bombs.
it's not a big circle. It's it looks like a torpedo. It weighs 1 ton, 2,000-pound bomb. Dumb bombs, meaning it's unguided. You just drop it.
You just
and
drop
try
it.
and get it in the right
Set
place.
it and forget it. Jesus Christ.
Gaza is the most densely populated place on Earth.
Really? Mm.
There is more people per square mile than almost anywhere than Japan, China. It's roughly around there. You have 2.4 million people who have been imprisoned for almost 2 decades with no control over their own self-determination, land, sea, air, you name it, been occupied for 70 years, being used as cheap slave labor. More than 50% of the population is unemployed, and more than 48% of the population children.
Yeah.
Israel, since October 7th, has dropped, last I checked, 70,000 tons
Of bombs?
on
That's
the most
crazy.
densely populated Earth. Well,
That's
get this,
crazy. That's OD. That's crazy.
That's more than we dropped on Dresden in Germany in World War II. That's more than Hiroshima.
Wow. All because they want land? They want to push people out?
So Hamas did October 7th, which I've condemned, by the way, blah, blah, blah. But we have to understand why this happened. Nobody ever asked why.
Yeah.
You've imprisoned a population for 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
You've caught Netanyahu, who's the Hitler of our lifetime.
Shit.
Has made it his life journey to occupy all of Palestine for Israel.
Mm-hmm.
He's lied. He used to do what's called mowing the lawn.
Okay.
Every so often, he would terrorize and bomb Gaza to let them know we own you.
Wow.
And he would do it. At one point in 2014, he waited till 3:00 for when the schools went out.
Oh, poor people.
And killed countless. the numbers are they've killed so many. There's no journalists left. They've killed more journalists than any war in our history.
That's
No one can
crazy.
get the numbers. At last count, it was 40,000. Conservative estimates right now are over 200,000. Hamas was only 2% of the population. They have bombed 100% of the country with 70,000 tons of bombs, looking for 2% of the population.
Crazy.
That is and we are
Disgusting.
funding it. And Netanyahu, I'm going to say this, the most disgusting thing of our lifetime, I'm going to tell you this right now, is Netanyahu coming to America, speaking in Congress, calling the people who are protesting this Hamas supporters and terrorists, Americans.
Wow.
And they're applauding and clapping this terrorist in the halls of Congress as he's paying through AIPAC every single one of them.
Crazy. This is America.
Disgusting. Our system has been corrupted. It has been
Why are we in their pocket? Where does that alliance begin?
Why are we in their pocket?
Yeah, like
the alliance begins after World War II. Nobody, it's really sad. Nobody wanted the Jewish people.
Right.
Europe didn't. America didn't want to take them. There was talks about them taking up some area in South America.
Okay.
But what happens? Biblical. They're like, you know what? Zionism is a ideology. It's not Judaism. Judaism is a religion. Zionism is an ideology. Zionism was created, and it was the thought that the Jewish people need a solely Jewish state. That's why they call Israel the only democracy in the Middle East. Well, you can't be a democracy if it hinders on everybody only being one religion.
No.
It doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
That's called a theocracy. That's called a country ran by religion, which if you're an American, you don't believe in that.
Well, America's trying to make that shit happen. Project 25. We'll get back to that later.
Well, you have a lot of evangelicals in America that, let's be honest, it's a death cult. They believe that Israel has to go back to the land and God's going to smite them, destroy them all. And that's part of their belief system.
Crazy.
But it's all with money. So AIPAC pays the most money of all of the foreign nations through AIPAC to your congressman. But they've been doing something that's been unprecedented. They're going after, they spent more money in single elections than ever. They put $10 million to get rid of Cori Bush.
Oh, wow. Who's Cori Bush?
Anybody who speaks against Israel, they are pouring millions to have them unseated and put in someone who will be more sycophantic to Israel and legislate.
Yeah, I'm seeing that with a lot of influencers, like Candace Owens. Like she's going toe to toe with these Jewish people, and they're trying to cancel her.
Listen, you gotta be careful. Candace Owens, she's a grifter, but at the same time, a broken clock is right twice a day.
I like that quote.
It is. It's true. It may not be for the reasons, that she's a good person, but when you're saying the truth, when you disagree with somebody, you don't like them, this and that, you have to, even Trump is right. Broken clock is right twice a day. You have to give it to him if you're going to be an honest person.
Yeah.
I hate Trump. I'm going to say it. I hate him. I hate the guy. I think he's the biggest bullshit artist and toxic for the entire world. But when someone is right, you have to let them know that they're right. You have to just be honest. If you're just going to say, no, you're wrong with everything. I just hate you and you're wrong about everything. Well, what does that do?
Yeah. Doesn't get you anywhere.
You can't have a conversation. I had a shotgun tournament the other day. And it was
a shotgun tournament?
Yeah, I shoot shotguns.
Oh. I need to come over and shoot.
You can come over. It's beautiful, man.
Yeah.
It's beautiful time. The fall, it's great.
Oh, yeah. I'm coming.
But anyway, we get teamed up. It was like a big event with one of my suppliers. It's a lumber supplier, and they
Hmm.
invite 100 people, and we shoot 100 rounds at different ski stations. And I got put with a full blown Trump supporter, big ass hat, Trump everything, this and that, blah blah blah. And we were shooting the shit all day, just blowing shit up. And then he's like, you're definitely a Trump guy. And I was like, no, I'm not. His face went,
Er?
and then I said, is that
Democrats
a
like to
problem?
shoot guns.
I said,
Sure
that's a
do.
problem. And he goes, you're a Kamala supporter? I was like, nope, ain't that either. And he said, well, why? And I said, they're one and the same. You may not see that, but
They're one and the same.
you know,
Just pick which one
and
you're gonna get the
you
most
know what?
benefit out of.
At the end of the day, he didn't have a problem with him. He said, you're all right.
Yeah, I mean, because at the end of the day, it's true. Everybody knows that shit. I feel like a lot of, and you know what's crazy? Y'all ignore the fact that this man literally said if he would run for president, he would run as a Republican because all the dumb, what did he say? The low,
Because the Republican Party is
it's
stupid.
the Republican Party is stupid and they'll just follow anyone. And he's
Yeah.
literally doing it. And y'all just eating
Yeah.
it up. Eating it up. Oh, well, if Trump, it's like Trump's God. Like if Trump said it, it's true. I'm like,
What?
this man, he's human just like us. He doesn't know everything. You know what I'm
The
saying?
problem is nobody stands by basic principles anymore. At
No.
what point you should never be like I was a big Bernie Sanders advocate, right?
Yeah. Bernie.
Nobody
he's too
should
old
be
now.
a sycophant to a single person. You're
Yeah.
supposed to uphold values and principles. At what point does it become a cult?
Yeah, it's giving cultish. And I want to ask you two questions here. One, what do you think about this recent second assassination attempt for Trump? Back home in West Palm Beach on his grounds. What do you think about that?
Duh.
You think that,
Duh.
like, do you think that is real or do you think it's a publicity stunt on their end? Because I'm like,
I think it doesn't serve any of us to speculate nothing on something we don't have any evidence of. What
I
we
like
do
that
have,
answer.
which I went back to his Twitter. As soon as I learned his name, I went to his Twitter. Found his Twitter, found a bunch of posts, screenshotted them. Not 10 minutes after I did that, Elon Musk shut down his account. So, because they're spinning a narrative. Elon Musk, by the way, is a moron. And
with a lot of money.
he's more dangerous to the United States than Trump is, by the way.
But anyway,
they were both Republicans.
Mm.
Both of these shooters were Republicans. And I'd say this to Republicans. Everyone's saying they tried to take him out. It's the Democrats. It's this and that. Let me ask you this. If you really wanted to take Donald Trump out, would you do it with a 19-year-old kid who can barely shoot or a mixed up redneck from Hawaii? Or would you do it with a mercenary who's going to take that shot 2 miles away and you ain't going to see shit?
That's it. You right. Pause for effect.
Media literacy. Logical. Yeah, we hired a freaking 19-year-old kid who's a registered Republican and voted for him. Yeah, if you really wanted to take him out, you know how many there's 1,000 mercenaries out there that would try to take him out.
For real.
Do it for 10 grand. Do you really think that crazy asshole that just tried to kill him was hired by the Democratic Party? No. What Trump did is he flip-flopped on every fucking issue in the last decade. He's flip-flopped on everying. What was it? A few weeks ago, he said, I'm for 6-week abortion ban. And then the next day he said, I'm not.
The math ain't mathing. The words ain't adding up.
Lost their shit.
Yeah.
Because he flip-flops on everything. And he lost supporters. And people got mad. The most recent shooter moved from him to Tulsi Gabbard.
Tulsi Gabbard.
And Yeah, the one who trained Trump for his last debate.
Oh,
She's a Tulsi Gabbard is a grifter. That's all
okay.
she is. She goes wherever the wind blows.
Yeah.
Listen, when you're our age, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you're in your 30s, your 40s, Tulsi's damn well into her 40s, if not 50.
Yeah.
Um, you don't change your political stance. You don't do a 180.
Yeah.
Your ideology doesn't change.
People can grow
How do
though.
you don't go from a Bernie campaigner to full on MAGA.
I mean, sometimes some people change. I've seen people switch up.
No, her principles 180'd.
Okay, so they're completely radical.
They're completely different. Like, we have to go after these corporations. No, we need to give corporations money.
Okay. So someone has her on the
No,
payroll.
you don't do that. That doesn't happen. That doesn't happen.
Not
But I
naturally,
will
not
agree
common.
that politics are fluid. They're
Yeah.
very fluid. Nobody's the same. I mean, you could have, like, for example, you have to learn to steel man people's arguments in order to have a conversation. You know what a
Yeah.
steel man argument is?
I do not. Please inform the people.
Okay, steel man argument is you have to make the case for them.
Yeah. Okay,
You have
true.
to try and make the case for their argument in order to fight it. You can't fight an argument if you can't make the case for it.
That's true. And
But
everybody's just yelling.
what's going on with the Republican Party is nothing but straw man arguments. You want to know what a straw man argument is?
Please do tell.
What's your favorite color?
Burgundy.
Why do you hate red?
Well, technically, burgundy is the subculture of red, so I don't hate it.
No,
I just like a
you
little
said you
tint.
like burgundy. Why are you telling me you hate red?
Because I'm racist.
That's a straw man argument. It's like, I didn't say that. Yes, you did.
This is some low vibrational shit. I get. Thank you. What a perfect example. Wow.
That's what we're dealing with.
Yeah.
It's stupidity. It's like, and then you get caught. That's the whole plan with these pundits and everything
Yeah.
is these rabbit hole arguments that are ridiculous
and not getting us anywhere or any questions solved.
No, it says, look over here. Fuck that conversation.
Yeah.
I'm trying to steer away from it.
If Trump does lose this election, I'm honestly looking forward for another valid Republican candidate who I could feel comfortable in hearing what they have to say about how they want to fix this country. Like, what happened
They
to they don't. But
they don't.
But it's like, what happened to like the qualified candidates? Like Kamala, qualified. Like DT was a popularity contest, and I feel like no one has taken us seriously since it started.
We're in the era of populism.
Trump influencers. Trump is the biggest influencer of the nation. Y'all talk about Kim K. It's Trump, baby. Trump could say,
Trump's
"Listen,
a fake populist."
Yeah.
Bernie Sanders was the populist.
Yeah.
And the Democratic Party screwed him. But anyway, I'm going to tell you, a lot of people don't see this, and this is what I want to make clear to everybody. The Republican Party has caused 10 of the last 11 recessions. And I'm going to tell you why. The Republican Party only has one piece of legislation. One. And that is tax cuts. Majority of those tax cuts do not go to you and me. In fact, his tax cut that was in, what was that, 2017, 2018? It had a sunset provision. The sunset provision was that your tax cuts go away. The corporation tax cuts stay in place. Of those tax cuts that he did, 83% of that tax cut went to the corporations. Only 17%, all of that COVID money, all of those checks that we got, it's been done by the Republican Party over and over and over and over again, and every time has led us into a recession. You want to know why? It goes to the corporations. When the corporations get that money, what do? They start building, buying up everything.
Yep.
What kind of economy? I'm in it. I see it every day. What do we have? We have a supply and demand economy.
Right.
So if you have 1,000 eggs, right, you got to get rid of this. It costs you $1 each egg, let's say, to make each egg. You got to get rid of them. You have a surplus. You're like, man, I'll sell them for $1.50. But let's say there's a shortage. You only have 10 eggs. No one can find eggs. How much you selling those eggs for?
$1,000 a pop.
Exactly. That's supply and demand. When
Mm-hmm.
you give these tax cuts, you create a sugar high economy. This sugar high economy that we saw during COVID, we came out of lockdown. That was a big factor too. The whole world shut down.
Yeah.
When you shut down the world for months and you open it back up, and we work on an economy where we import a ton of shit from China,
Mm-hmm.
the demand is outweighing the supply,
Yeah.
which causes the inflation. And then you give tax cuts to mega corporations who are building and grabbing up all of the supplies as quickly as possible to expand. You cause this inflation. It's happened every single time. Obama had gotten us out of the 2008 crash, and it was slow and steady growth.
Mm-hmm.
He got us out of it. That is sustainable with small injections back to the lower class economy. When Trump did with the tax cut is what George Bush did, George Bush before him, all Republicans, tax cuts for the rich, tax cuts for the rich. It causes a sugar high economy that takes about 2 years to happen. And what happens to Republicans? They never win 2 terms in a row.
That's
So
true.
when they do that, you're going to get this inflation. A Democrat's going to come in, and then they're going to get the blame for all this inflation. What is our
Cycles.
mechanism to curb inflation? Interest rates.
Uh,
You raise the interest rates so you could slow down the demand,
like
because the
the housing
demand is
market.
so high that you're causing this inflation.
Yeah.
You have to the supply has to outweigh the demand, otherwise you're going to have this inflation. They cause these sugar high economies, which is not sustainable and puts us in the position that we are in today.
Mm.
And the only way, and it's the perfect storm, because everybody started buying up houses like it was the stock market
Yeah.
when it
Well,
was going up.
that's what they did. All these corporations
Okay.
bought up all
Well,
these
what?
houses.
Yes, and you thought there was bidding wars between people when it was actually them buying them.
Right.
So you have people that bought at the height of the housing market, and the housing market comes down, they're not selling for a loss.
Yeah.
So you cause this sugar high economy. Everyone says, oh, it's better under Trump. It's better under Trump. No, where have you guys been? This happened in George Bush in 2001. This happened. It's
We
over
were
and over.
children.
You having a sugar high economy for 2 years that causes this inflation. And then we're stuck here. And the only way to correct it, and you can quote me, we need a crash, and there will be one. It's not a
Oh,
question of
it's
if,
happening.
it's a question of when, because it needs to happen. Once you get to a plateau, the corporations, you can't make anymore because you become stagnant. No one can afford anything.
What
You
do you
got to crash it and buy it up.
What do you think the crash is going to look like for us?
We're in a bubble within a bubble.
Mm-hmm.
We're in a bubble right now. We had a housing bubble. We had a banking bubble. It's only sustainable for so long.
Yeah.
And it needs to happen, because you look at these houses, I price things every day,
Yeah.
all the time. I see what the prices are. Guess what? Wood, you know what a 2x4 was at the height of COVID? A 2x4x8 piece of wood? It was $9.50 a board. You know what it was before COVID? $3.50 a board.
Mm.
You know what it is right now? $3.50 a board.
Oh. Okay, well
Wood
that's
is
good.
back. Yeah, that's good. Wood is back to pre-COVID prices, but the reason that your house went up in value is because everything that it's made of went up in value. The value's gone down, but the houses haven't.
Mm.
And that's because
Yeah.
if you bought the house in the rise of the housing market at $400,000, you're not getting $400,000 at 7-8% interest.
Yeah. That
So
shit's crazy.
there needs to be a crash. It's, again, for me, it's not a question if, it's a question when.
When? Oh, it's definitely going to happen. I believe that.
And
Alrighty,
I'm going to be on the
guys.
sidelines waiting.
Right? Me and my coin. We are ready to buy. So now we're to the segment where we do pit stop questions. Pit stop questions. All right. Celebrate. I'm telling you, nobody celebrates the pit stop questions. These are the best parts. Now, Mike, you allowed me to ask you anything I want. And I think I asked most of them. So I'm gonna ask you a Trump related, a politic related question. Now, why do you think Okay. Really, it's more so. Do you feel that? Why can't I word my question right? I'm gonna edit this when I actually edit it. But what do you think the difference is between Donald Trump and Hillary's debate versus Donald Trump and Kamala's debate season? Even though we're still in the midst of the debate season between the two, why do you feel like the candidacy is leaning more towards Kamala this go around? Do you feel like her race has an issue? It's still a woman. Like, where do you think those two candidates differed?
Because Hillary Clinton was hated by both parties.
Ah, that's true. Everybody, Hillary Clinton, the Clintons is the devil. If Haitians hate anybody, it's the Clintons. That's why I
Well,
say like Democrats have been like desecrating Haiti for decades. Like I'm not a
they
fan
did.
either. They
No,
still
they
do.
definitely did.
They still do.
The problem is, I'm an independent. A lot of
Same.
independents, you know, and Americans. I think independents are true Americans because this is just absurd.
Yeah.
Um, I don't like political dynasties.
Yeah. Fair.
I don't like nepotism. I don't like, everybody's in the club.
Hmm.
Elected officials, Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton's daughter. I mean, they did the same thing that Trump did. They had the Clinton Foundation. I mean, those foundations are just funneling
Yeah,
operations of money.
they are. $50 million to
But
Haiti and 9 houses.
the thing is, Trump and Hillary, it's different realms. But the problem with today is people are not honest, and they think that my scumbag is better than your scumbag. And the honest truth is they're on the same team.
Yeah.
And again, with the only way I think that, listen, Republican, Democrat, Independent, nothing is going to change unless we change one thing.
Which is?
We need to get rid of Citizens United. Money does not equal speech when it comes to entities. We need to make it illegal, and we need to make it treason.
We
need to make it punishable with life in prison.
Wow.
Yes. You can't have a country run by people who are being paid off by the moneyed interests that are hoarding the money. They're paying off the people that are legislating the laws that are giving the money back to them. Amazon effectively pays zero in taxes every year. So does ExxonMobil. In fact, ExxonMobil gets billions of dollars in subsidies. We give them money and subsidize them when they've made more money than ever in American history.
That's crazy.
Yes.
Corruption with a capital C.
For example, Big Pharma. There was a cancer drug that was in Canada, perfectly affordable, but we're paying like $24,000 for.
Oh, I believe it. I believe it.
What?
Just like I'm going to say it again.
And that's because of the lobbies, the lobbyists. It should be no money from lobbyists, no money unless you're an American citizen, and that we need free and fair elections paid for by the people. And the problem is the media is supposed to be the watchdog of the government. And how does the media make their money?
From the government, from the views, from us.
No, from advertising.
Oh, you're right. Yo, the advertising market.
Who's advertising?
Crazy. All these big corporates. Big Pharma's advertising.
The same people who are paying the money to the congressman.
Yep. And it depends whose pocket is in what, and then their commercials. No, you're absolutely right.
My family loves to watch, parts of my family love to watch the Fox 5. Let me tell you, the most brain dead people. I mean, Judge Jeanine Pirro is like the human embodiment of Xanax. But anyway.
I'm dead.
Greg Gutfield is who you tell your daughter to watch out for. But anyway.
His last name is Gutfield, not the cutest.
And what's his name? God, the guy that looks like Ray Romano. Almost. I mean, his personality. God, I can't think of his name.
I stopped watching the news months ago.
They're all opinion networks. Do you really think that Lou Dobbs on Fox News is going to say ExxonMobil has been poisoning the water for decades. No, because ExxonMobil gives millions of dollars
Exactly. It's true.
to Fox News every year. And I don't know how you could watch Fox News because it is very hard,
It's very
very
toxic.
hard
And
to
even their
sue somebody
narrative,
for
how they
no, to sue
how they
somebody for defamation.
yeah. Wait, what?
You lost an $800 billion defamation lawsuit lying for years. Tucker
Oh yeah.
Carlson,
Tucker
he's a
Carlson?
jackass. They're all grifting liars because people believe anything. And you know why people believe everything?
Because
Do you remember when we were
the
kids?
news used to be wholesome, and that's where you used to get your information.
No. Well, not only that, but remember, you should be old enough to know. Remember an email going around when we were younger, like when the internet was first like popping,
Okay.
of a Algerian prince that said that he needed to send you money and then in turn will send you millions?
Oh yeah,
That was
yeah. Oh, the Nigerian and shit. Yeah.
eh,
Back when the internet
basically
was the shout out to that
basically
era of the internet. What a wholesome time.
basically what your phone does today is what I tried to tell people is we need to be mindful of this. Your phone is an algorithm. It's
Yes.
it's catered, I don't think it's that much intentionally, like evil intentions, but
Mm-hmm.
it's catered to show you things that you like.
On
So if you
purpose.
tend to watch Haitians eating cats, all you're going to see is Haitians
Haitian eating
eating
cat
cats.
memes. Which Haitians don't eat
So
cats, so we ain't finna keep that narrative.
no, but
But like
that's
if like
what you're
Haitian
going
things.
to see.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
all you're going, because that's what you're looking. That's what you're.
Yeah.
I told my uncle like a couple weeks ago. I said, "Listen, what do you see on your feed all day? Anti Kamala, Trump, anti
Yep.
Kamala, Trump." I
Yep.
said, "Don't look at anything on your feed. I want you for 5 days. Just do this: search kittens, search bunnies, search Tahiti,
Yep.
just search all different things. Your entire
Yep.
feed
Is going to change.
change
Yep.
because it is. If you just strictly go off your feed,
Yeah.
it's going to continue to cater to that
To
type of
what you're
media,
interacting with, what you're liking.
and it's poisoning the fucking brains of people.
Yeah. And just to touch on what you're talking about, when Trump did his election the first time against Hillary, I had a roommate, female roommate, Caucasian, and she was independent as well, but her and I would live together, right? Same
Mhm.
cell towers. We would both see the same article about Trump, but because my phone knows I'm a black woman and I'm registered, at the time I was registered as Democratic, and I think she was too, but she was independent, but she would get a whole like positive pro-Trump thing, and mine would be the same story, but it would be fear-mongering. Like, oh, Trump said this, racist, or the Proud Boys about this. And I'm just like, same story, Facebook, back to back. And that's when I really start to step back and look at social media like, oh, this is a tool. It was around 2016 because that's also where I started noticing the ads on Instagram. Like I'd be talking about stuff and all of a sudden I see an ad and I started correlating. I'm like, did I even say that out loud? But I'm like, oh, I Googled it. That's when I started picking up. So you're absolutely right about that. To segue, I want to ask you in your next pit stop question, what is your favorite conspiracy theory? This is going to be
Man, you're
good.
gonna get that on me. There is
Yeah.
life outside of this planet,
Oh,
and
yeah.
we know about it.
Oh, for sure.
Definitely.
You think there's real aliens and we know about it. So, what was it? Was it this year that the alien things that was trending on
That
in
was
the
a
news?
distraction.
Yeah, yeah, it was a distraction right in the beginning of the year, right before the whole Diddy shit. What that was this year, right? Where we started seeing all these.
It was last year. It was the year before that. It was.
Yeah.
Listen, I've seen every piece of media you can imagine on that subject. There's a lot of grifters. There's a lot of liars.
Yeah.
I'm a numbers guy. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Let me ask you this: How many? Every star in the sky. What is it?
Uh gas,
It's a
fire.
sun.
It's a
It's a
sun.
sun.
Yeah. Did I say it
We
right? I'm
know.
like, okay, gas. Yeah,
We know right now that every sun has planets around it.
for sure.
We didn't. When I was a little kid, we didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
We know that now. Do you know how many suns are just in our you know what a galaxy is, right?
I know what a galaxy is.
Oh, we live in the Milky Way galaxy.
That we
Yes.
do.
There is, I believe, a couple trillion solar systems or suns in our galaxy.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the stars you see at night are actually galaxies with
Mm.
trillions of suns. There, just to put it in perspective for you, we can't see the entirety of everything. We could see about 13 billion light years away right now,
Mm-hmm.
right about the Big Bang Theory. There is more planets in the known universe that we can see than there are grains of sand on this planet.
Great. I believe it.
So, just by sheer numbers, that there is a Earth-like planet, there are millions of them,
Yeah, different
just by
timelines
sheer
for
numbers.
sure.
So, not only that, I look to history.
Yeah.
So I kind of stay away from, the people claiming this, that, blah, blah, blah. I kind of look at history too, because history, what happens in history? People, 1,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago, they mistook things that we know today to be science, right? Like in the Bible, they said the moon ran red with blood. We know that, what is that today? That's a lunar eclipse.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't know that, but, they thought it was an act of God.
Very
Well,
poetic.
yeah. So what else did they draw? There's a lot of things in the Bible that look like UFOs
Yeah.
that they're seeing in this. People drew what they saw. They couldn't explain things, but they drew it.
Yeah.
And it's throughout a ton of cultures,
Mm-hmm.
stuff, vehicles that they saw in the sky when vehicles in the sky weren't invented.
The Jetsons.
That's my conspiracy theory. I just think by the sheer numbers of it that it is very I guess conceited to think that we're the only smart things in the universe. And in fact, if I was a smart alien race, I would drive by planet Earth like it was a bad neighborhood.
It is so fucking ghetto here. Oh my God. Now, what do you think about the Diddy Rico case that's going on right now? What are your thoughts
I
about
think,
that?
yeah, they should have got him. That guy,
Yeah, he did
he
it.
had thousands of bottles of lube.
I'm like, I could understand like a Costco case, but thousands? Like,
All
how
right,
many freak offs? How slippery are these freak offs? And how ashy is everybody? I don't understand
you
what the
better have
lube's
had a
for.
slip and slide with that much lube. I'd be
Okay.
upset if that wasn't there.
And you know what's crazy? I was just listening to it on my way here. Like, he put 50 million up. They don't want to do it. He surrendered all of his passports, his kids. They don't want to give it to him. He tried to add millions on millions. They're like, nah, bro, you're staying in jail. Like, and they're putting him in the shoe. So I'm like, Diddy, you're canceled. I'm like, damn, Diddy.
That,
It's crazy. You think
what's
it's
the old
true?
saying?
You think he did that shit? He did that shit.
Yeah,
He did that
he
shit.
did that shit. But it's because of money and power, man.
Money and power, corruption. Now, a
It's
lot of people are saying like, oh, they're going back to the whole, which is true, how Bill Cosby, R. Kelly got shut down. Everything happens in threes. Now we have Diddy. Now, why are the Harvey Weinsteins of the world still here? White privilege or white privilege? Which one is it?
I don't think it's so much white privilege, but money.
Money and power.
Money
Harvey
and power.
Weinstein, yeah, I guess they would
Well,
have
here's
more
the thing.
money.
Not only money, but how about this? A
Connections.
lot of times these guys, and especially like Diddy, it was with him too.
Yeah.
Guilty by association.
Yeah.
So Jeffrey Epstein, right? What was his whole spiel? His whole spiel was, if you get people in power and compromising positions and you're doing bad things and so are they.
Yeah.
Well, you're not going to rat me out because you're going down with me.
Exactly.
And
shit, that happened in our
exactly what
hometown too, by the way, y'all. In Palm Beach.
What's that?
The
yeah.
Jeffrey, yeah.
Epstein. Yep. He made a phone call and that guy went to jail on the weekends.
Bro. You know what's crazy? Growing up in Palm Beach, I just felt like we had such a wholesome upbringing, just such a good town. I did not know how corrupt and nasty and disgusting in the shadows.
I look at things that happened when we were kids and I'm like, wow, that was bad.
Crazy.
I remember, listen, I'm an adult now, but I remember thinking that I'm gonna go ahead and say it. It's true. An 18-year-old or 19-year-old with a 13-year-old was okay when I was 13
Yeah.
because it was normal.
It was normal back then. No, you're right.
It
I
was
used to think
normal.
I used to think it was weird because even as a young girl and I had titties my whole
But
life,
we were the
older
young
men would always
people.
try to
But
come
now
toward
that I
you.
see that I'm an adult, like, that was bad.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I when I was 16, I ended up with a 36-year-old woman.
Oh, the tea. Wow.
And
Cougar.
yeah,
That's a
man,
pedophile.
who had
She's
a baby.
who had a babe. Oh my god. Uh,
Showed me the baby in the I'm like, and now, I thought about it after in my 20s, and I'm like, well, that was just wrong.
oh, I'm sorry.
Like,
Yeah.
as a guy, you don't really,
Think of it like that.
give a shit, but you think of it, and I'm just like, that stuff was normal, but we were kids and we didn't see it.
Yeah. Crazy how the lenses change.
Yeah, it is, and now I would say that no, that's bad. I mean, it was never the opposite way because, you know, I couldn't imagine being with even a 20-year-old.
Yeah.
Like, they're stupid to me.
Yeah, the
I'm sorry. No
mindsets are
offense
just
against
different.
20-year-olds. You're just I'm
Yeah.
hedging on I just turned 38. I'm hedging on
Hey, we're
40.
grown-ups now. We're like mid to late 30s. You look good. You don't even look a day past 33, boo.
Oh, thanks.
Aw. Last
But yeah, it's
question.
bad.
Yeah. Palm Beach is definitely so no. It's not as sunny and bright and happy as we thought it was. But last question.
Not west of 95.
Okay. And by the way, they're like, oh, when everyone's like, oh, Trump got shot on his golf course. I said, first of all, y'all aren't even from Palm Beach. Where his golf cart is, where his golf course is definitely not. It's not what is it, Mar-Largo? It
That
is
is the
not
first
Mar-Largo.
thing that I said. I was
It is
like,
not Mar-Largo.
in that Riviera.
Okay. It's Lantan. I'm like, first of all, I'm like, y'all check them bushes. You sure it wasn't some of them zoes he was talking about eating
Well,
cats?
someone had said on Twitter the other day, they're like, how does someone just walk up into it wasn't Mar-a-Lago, but it was I forget, the Palm Beach,
Yeah.
whatever,
Is
his golf course.
Trump,
I'm
whatever,
like,
blah. Golf
I
course.
posted, I'm like, are you even from there?
Like, are you
Like,
from
that's
here?
South Florida. You walk through a bush.
Okay. Let
Like,
them know. They don't know, bro. It's like,
they don't
you
know.
don't
They're like,
even go
how does
here,
this
bro.
happen? And I'm like, by the way, that's not even on anybody else but Trump because he was too cheap to put a fucking fence up.
Thank you. Right in the
Or,
middle of
I'm
the
sorry,
hood.
mend your fence.
That part. But if you know, you know. Now, last question. If you could do, because this is an industry insight, and thank you for giving your insight on your particular industry of being a contract estimator. But if you can do anything else in the Matrix, what would you do and why?
I would actually run for office.
What? Let me find out. Mike, what office? Local, presidential,
Um, Congress.
Congress? You can. You meet all the
I could,
requirements.
but who wants that? Who wants that in their life?
I think a lot of people could agree with you, and you never know. Never talk yourself out of that. I think you should try.
Again, I really think that people get caught up in the absurdity. Um, what we're being hit with right now has been used time and time again since the beginning of time.
Mm-hmm.
It's called divide and conquer.
Yeah.
You throw enough shit out there that is not reality mixed with reality,
Yeah.
no one's going to be able to discern what is truth from fiction.
That's true.
And
No
it's
one's
been
fact
used
checking.
by every, civilization that's been dominant since the beginning of time. And the Roman Empire, Ottoman Empire. I mean, divide and conquer has always been used, and it's so easy today because everything in this world is instantaneous. The minute it happens,
Yeah.
everybody knows about it, and
They
the
forget about
problem
it
with
too.
it is more than 50% of people are going to believe it if it's bullshit.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. And I think we need to come together and again get nothing is going to change or get better. We're going to have these ups and downs, crashes, sugar high economies. My guy's better than your guy until we get money out of politics.
Yep.
It's never going to change. It's legal bribery, people. And when you have all the money, you ain't playing 3D chess. You're not this grand Einstein wizard of economics. You're
Yeah.
just paying both sides. I'm going to spend $100 million. I'm going to give one side 50 million and give the other side 50 million. But either way, whoever wins, I'm making 500 billion.
Period. Oh man, thank you, Mike, for all the tea. Now, before we head out, let people know when the Racket is dropping, where they can find you, what's the handle, if they want to tap in on the political jargon. Where we going?
You can find me on Twitter at the Racket with 3 T's and a space in the middle of it because that's just Twitter.
I don't have a Twitter. It's the devil.
And then the Racket on YouTube with an underscore between the and the Racket.
Gotcha.
And it should be dropping in the first week of October. These are the things I want to talk about. And it's not only just politics, it's just absurd things. Like, I don't know. Do you know, I had a conversation the other day about Sneeko. You know who Sneeko is? This
No
big
idea.
He was an influencer as a kid, and then he kind of grew up and he kind of got red pilled up, and then he's just a grifter, man.
He's in the manosphere.
Oh God, he's Andrew. His nose
Andrew
is so
Tate.
far up Andrew Tate's ass. I don't know where he ends and Andrew begins.
Damn, I wanted to watch Andrew Tate and Candace Owens, interview they had together, but it got shut down by YouTube.
Andrew Tate's under house arrest again.
Shit. What did he do?
They got more on him and his brother. They got like 20 something women now. So
oh shit, next Rico case.
He's on lockdown again, but. Sneeko, I watched him do a debate. Get this. God, how stupid do you have to be? Debating the legal age of consent.
¿Por qué? Like, why? I swear America wants us to go back to the fucking Stone Ages. No abortion.
Well, that's how you... That's why the Republican Party repealed... what's it called?
Roe versus Wade?
Roe versus Wade. Because when you have nothing to run on, you bring back the hits. Now you're going to put this back into litigation in the States.
Wow. And
then you're going to have this fight for a decade. I mean, I want you to really think of this as a Trump supporter, okay? Donald Trump, in his first 2 years of his presidency, had the presidency, the House, and the Senate, did not need Democrats for 2 years, could have passed anything. Why isn't the border wall built?
Hold on. I'm about to drop this episode right there. That is a bar. That is true. He wants them in. He needs them. Who's going to clean his toilets?
He legislated for 500 miles of new fencing when he was describing a huge, beautiful block wall. And that's what I was against, because guess what? I know how much that costs, and we couldn't afford it. I know that's impossible. You're not going to be able to afford it. You would double the current deficit of 30 trillion. Not only that, you would have to spend a shit ton of money on maintaining that beautiful, thick block wall. It goes through the desert.
He was just telling people what he wanted to hear, and then since it wasn't built, now he's blaming the Democrats. Oh, you see, he let him in. We should have built the wall.
He agreed on 500 miles of border fence, you know what it is, but majority of it was to replace the existing fence, which 90% of Americans wouldn't have been against that.
Yeah. Yeah, put the fence back up. Because at the end of the day, you and I, Mike is in Philly, y'all. I'm in New York. We're real life experiencing what it is to have an influx of migrants here in, the city. One, the city was already crazy to begin with. But now the resources that were here for like the mentally ill or the homeless are now dwindled down even more because we have an influx of immigrants. Crime is back up. Also funding for like local things and school all down. I'm not sure about Philly. I hear your governor's pretty good. But yeah, like shit's not sweet here. So everyone complaining about, the Haitians are eating the pets in Ohio. Y'all come to New York and see some real migrants. We got Venezuelan gangs robbing people, street side eating dinner for brunch. Like life is lifing up here. So yeah, I'm going to cut it there.
about 67% of our budget goes to the military.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone gets pilled up thing, they call it the, I don't know, pay the veterans act or something sweet, like we're actually paying people more in the military. That's not happening. It's going to budgets that are black ops projects that we don't know about.
Yep.
And
Because
let
these
me ask you
veterans out
this.
here suffering too.
Why doesn't anybody talk about the Pentagon failing its audit and can't account for $6 trillion, can't tell us where it went?
Are you talking about 9/11?
No, the Pentagon has failed an audit several times in the last since Obama till now. And let me ask you this. If the IRS comes to you and says, "Where'd you put this money?" and you say, "I don't know," what's going to happen to you?
Jail.
Okay, well, the Pentagon is saying, "Well, we don't know what we did with so many trillions of dollars, and sorry."
No accountability.
Okay,
Oh my
well,
gosh.
you know what we can do with that money? How about we put it back into our system and take care of the homeland and the people? We are currently maintaining 900 military bases across the world. We are involved in every conflict across the world.
Like, can we just mind our business?
At
Can we
what
mind our
point-
business?
At what point do you not take care of your people? But no, you can't do that because that's socialist. Oh, yeah? Well, then I guess you got to get rid of the police department, the fire department, your social
Ay, Dios
security,
mío.
the American military. That is all democratic socialist policies. Why do we do that? Because it doesn't work if we don't. If you have police stations, and we did at one time, and fire stations competing with each other, and guess what? Not a lot of fires are happening. They're going to start some fires.
Oh my God, it's overwhelming. I need a snack. Oh God, thank you so much for coming on, Mike. You just mind blowing me here with all this stuff. Y'all be on the lookout for The Racket coming out this October. This episode is probably going to drop the same week, so then we can kind of have a little shuffle there. But yeah, thank you so much for coming to the parlay.
I appreciate it. I'd love to come back if you got anything else.
Yes, actually, I'm having a roundtable talk soon. Take a little 2-hour trip and come see your girl in studio. Por favor.
Yeah, I need to come and definitely do a studio visit. We need to come to New York anyway. And we usually come around, I don't know. Yeah. When's the next neon party?
I know, right? No more parties. No more summer parties in the fall. Because Mike says, my building too old and my AC be hot. Oh my God, be trying me.
Yeah, that was hot. And I don't know, link me up with your friend.
Oh yeah, for sure. Definitely. I'm going to have you and Sean. If I could get Sean to leave Jacksonville, you guys would be besties. Alrighty. Well, thank you, my Virgo brother. Appreciate you coming on. And I can't wait until you guys join the parlay. If you're still listening, please like, share, and subscribe. And go ahead and bless my friend Mike on his page, The Racket. And like, share, and subscribe. If you like the political tea, we're here for you. Bye.